Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Barakah Kodash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'm going to start it off in Isaiah chapter 34, verse 16. Seek ye out of the book of Yahweh. And what's the book of Yahweh? What the majority of you people know as the Bible and the Apocrypha, and read, no one of these shall fail. And what's that no one of these shall fail? The prophecies stated in the book of Yahweh to take place. Not a single one of them will fail in coming to their fulfillment. None shall want her mate. For my mouth it hath commanded, and his spirit it hath gathered them. And some of the prophecies stated in the book of the Lord to take place are uproars of the people all across the planet. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 9. I'm going to start at verse 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, which is what the men of the Lord, the prophets of the Most High, chiefly through GMS or Great Millstone, are doing by reading the scriptures and watching the news and filtering the news through the scriptures to let you people know what times you're living in, the last seconds of the last days. And when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made and judge you people for all the wickedness you've been committing on it, and mainly to 2/3 of the nation of Israel, or you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who are hard-headed and refuse to return under your power, Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes, and hey, earthquakes are happening damn near daily all across the planet in diverse places. Just the other day, you had 3 major earthquakes around New Zealand happen back to back to back. And uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. And if you have that spiritual eye salve, you can clearly see that the end is manifesting before us. And I brought out this 2nd Esdras chapter 9 to preface this article on Axios.com titled, Rising global food prices could presage social unrest, uproars of the people in the world. And if there's anything that would cause social unrest and people to fight against their governments and each other, it would be food insecurity, which is also stated in the scriptures. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 15. I'm going to start at verse 18. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, with guns, sticks, knives, clubs, bats, chains, brass knuckles, Molotov cocktails, etc., and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread or food insecurity, and for great tribulation. Back to the title of that article on Axios.com. Rising global food prices, lack of bread could presage social unrest, uproars of the people. Seek ye out of the book of Yahweh and read, no one of these shall fail. We're seeing a biblical prophecy begin to take place right before our very eyes, and you sincere Akim should be happy seeing these things come to pass. What did Yahushai tell his disciples in the book of Luke? Many kings, counselors, and great men have desired to see the things which ye see and have not seen them. These things are letting us know that we truly are living in the last seconds of these last days before the second coming of Yahushai Hamashiach and the setting up of the kingdom of heaven, where the nation of Israel will rule in righteousness for eternity. So to you sincere Akim out there, now more than ever, you should have all 10 toes down in this truth, pushing this word as hard as you possibly can to make your calling and election sure, to be of that first fruits in the kingdom of heaven, and have that protective hedge of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai over you, so you can be saved from the uproars of the people and a man having no pity upon his neighbor due to the lack of bread during Jacob's trouble. Let's get into this article. Global food prices have been rising for months, putting additional pressure on the world's poorest people. Why it matters. Past spikes in the price of food staples have been connected to periods of social unrest, uproars of the people, including the Arab Spring. If prices continue to rise, which they will, on top of the pain of the pandemic, the world could be in for a bumpy ride, and best believe the world's in for one hell of a bumpy ride. By the numbers, global food prices rose by 2.4% in February, according to the Food and Agriculture Organization's Food Price Index. That marks the 9th straight month of price rises, causing the index, which is adjusted for inflation, to reach its highest level since July 2014. Details: in the U.S., prices rose by nearly 3% in 2020, roughly double the rate of inflation, putting pressure on the poorest Americans, who spend more than 1/3 of their income on food. But the real threat comes in countries where large portions of the population live close to the edge of hunger. Brazil, which is already dealing with the world's worst active C-19 outbreak, experienced the fastest increase in food prices last year relative to inflation. In Russia, food costs have been kept in check only because of tariffs and export controls, but those measures have fueled inflation and are likely to keep prices from jumping when the policies are lifted at the end of March. In Nigeria, where the average household already spends more than half of its income on food, supply bottlenecks and attacks on farmers have contributed to rising prices. India has helped keep prices affordable by spending the most in the world to subsidize food, but it's been racked by farmer protests over plans to unwind the support, which is likely to translate to higher prices and more unrest. Flashback: governments are right to worry about the effects of rising food prices. Past spikes in 2011 helped fuel protests in the Arab world, and record high prices in 2008 contributed to instability throughout the global south. A growing food crisis in Sudan, where inflation is in the triple digits and the price of bread has more than doubled, has helped lead to rising protests against the joint military-civilian government. In Lebanon, food prices quadrupled in December, leading angry protesters to set up roadblocks over the government's failure to act. Hey, so you're seeing issues of food insecurity happening in places all across the planet, and even some protests beginning to happen. Again, those uproars of the people all across the planet. What they're saying, these price spikes are destabilizing, not just because they induce a lot of hardship on communities and households, but also because there is this expectation that the government will do something about it. Colin Hendricks, a non-resident senior fellow at the Peterson Institute for International Economics, told Bloomberg. The implications are going to last longer and beyond the pandemic. How it works. The food price spike has multiple interlocking causes. C-19 lockdowns are a wrecking ball for food systems, notes Lawrence Haddad, the executive director for the Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition, while broader inflation and extreme weather events like February's winter storms in Texas play a role as well. But the crisis is also a reminder of how interconnected and vulnerable the global food system is when the world's poorest dependent on food flowing from the biggest producers. In a study published in Natural Food this month, researchers found that restrictions by as few as 3 key exporters would be enough to increase the price of wheat by 70%, while maize and rice would rise by 40% and 60% respectively. Even consumers in well-off countries aren't exempt, with food producers reducing the number of items on sale and shrinking the size of processed food to keep prices seemingly stable. But C-19 has still pushed 13.2 million Americans into food insecurity, an increase of 35% from 2018. Yes, but prices are well below their 2011 peak, and there are signs that grain price increases are slowing, even as wheat output is forecast to reach a record high of 780 million tons next season. Still, increased production won't help if the pandemic prevents food from reaching the needy, and over the long term, climate change is likely to increasingly disrupt farming. Those who have done well have an obligation to help those who have suffered and will continue to suffer through no fault of their own, says Lawrence Haddad of GAIN. The bottom line, more than politics or the pandemic, it is food scarcity that will bring people out into the streets, which is likely to make the next few months unstable ones. But more to the bottom line, seek ye out of the book of the Lord, for none of these shall fail. Uproars of the people in the world, and a man having no pity upon his neighbor, and searching his house with the force of the sword due to the lack of bread. Whether it be food insecurity and inflation causing them to not be able to afford food, and then being desperate and going to attack their neighbors and the government to feed themselves and their families, or a real famine taking place and food just not being available, period, which is also stated in the scriptures to happen. I'm going to close it out in Matthew chapter 24, start at verse 3. And this is Yahushai HaMashiach, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus Christ, speaking. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? Jump down to verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, uproars of the people in the world, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. And these end time signs are either in the process of taking place or taking place as we speak. Back in Isaiah 34, verse 16, seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read, no one of these shall fail, and none shall want her mate. The book of the Lord, the scriptures of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, is the only bit of 100% truth out there where you'll get answers on what's going on and what's going to happen. So that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim are edified. Just keep strong and keep pushing this word. We're almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.